Hello guys and welcome to another video. We have finally reached the end of the group stages and the beginning of the playoffs of the World Championship. We are down to 16 players from, I don't know, over 500 if I remember correctly. And yeah, these are the best 16 in this tournament. And yeah, this is the first of many games to come. We have this round of 16, then of course 8, then the semifinals and the finals after all. And now we're gonna have best of 5 matches, so still a lot of games. As you see here, 40 total games in this best of 16 stage. So I won't be able to cover all of the matches, but I'm trying to cover as many as I can. So definitely check out the YouTube. And if you haven't, of course, subscribe. But with that said, let's take a look at the players. And for that, I prepared a little bit of a chart. We have 16 players, as I said. We have here all their names. We have their nationalities and the numbers, if you're wondering, is their seating. So Weidenbaum, for example, has had the best season or has the best World Championship performance thus far. So he is ranked the highest. And has the highest seating, and Nickeberg has the lowest of these 16, of course, so they are still really good, but Weinbaum will be facing off against Nickeberg as a reward for being seated the highest. So yeah, we're gonna go through all of these players. It's 16, so finally it's a number we can go through. We have Weidenbaum versus Nickeberg, Sandhippo versus Vivey, Shorty versus Lawang, Lemmings players versus Megumi, Endervillian versus Silent, Toad Silence, so two times the Silent. Toad Silence versus Vanish Shadow, Pig Fans versus Vortex, and Weida versus PV4. As you can see, a lot of Chinese players. We have 7 Chinese players, and none of them are facing up against each other. So potentially, if every Chinese player wins their first match, after that, in the next round, we will mostly have Chinese. But of course, we don't know. We will see. They are definitely the highest represented group. And then we also have quite a lot of Germans, 3 Germans, Weidenbaum, Toad Silence, and Vortex. 2 Americans, Silent and Shorty. And then some single nationalities, Nickeberg from Great Britain, Vivey from Finland. Who did I miss? P4 from Belgium. I hope I have all of them now. So yeah, this is going to be really, really exciting. And the first matches have finished. And I'm going to be covering one of them right now. And it's going to be PV4 versus Weida. And we actually have kind of a prediction game going on in the TTA Discord. If you don't know the Discord, you should join it definitely. We have some interesting discussions there and also some votings for the match off or the playoffs now. And yeah, this is the voting for the match PV4 versus Weida. We can see that 43.8% say that Weida's going to win, and then we even have the 18.8 also say that Weida will win, and they're even very, very sure because they lock this and can potentially get extra or minus points. So we have to add the 43 to 18. So people are expecting Weida to win a little bit more, but relatively close. I would say PV4 is 25 plus 12.5, so 37.5. That is, yeah, relatively close to 50-50, but definitely in favor of Weida. But of course, this is only a prediction from the guys in the Discord, or 16, so not the highest amount, but it's a lot of fun. I also participated. I'm not sure who I voted for. I think PV4. So it looks like I'm in the minority, and we will see if that will turn out correct or not. And with that, let's get into that match. So here we can see Weida has the first turn and PV4 will follow. We can take a look at the leaders and wonders. We see that Confucius was already taken. We have the Colosseum Library. We have Zizka and Joan of Arc. St. Pete's, Bach and Shakespeare are here, but no Gutenberg. We don't have the Suez. We have Hollywood and Fleming and Marlene, as well as Red Cross and Manhattan Project. Pierre is here. Pierre and Darwin. Okay, and Joan of Arc, Bach, Marlene, one of my favorite plays. Also coupled with the St. Pete's. All right. So interestingly, Weida has decided to take Confucius over the engineering genius. I'm not sure a lot of people would have played like that. But yeah, Chinese players really value Confucius very, very highly. And I would agree that Engineering Genius, it used to be like the gold standard of a card you would want. But getting a good leader also feels pretty important, especially because if Weida hadn't grabbed Confucius, next turn he would have had to pay 2 civil actions to go for Hammurabi, because there would be no leader that comes down to 1. So now he will be able to elect Confucius, build a mine, increase pop, maybe grab the urban growth. Yes, he does that. And then next turn he can grab maybe Colosseum or the library, whichever he likes more. PV4 will go for Hammurabi. He has also, of course, I didn't mention it, gone for the Engineering Genius and the Stonehenge. And then he can grab 1 more card, and it will be the Cultural Heritage. Sure, with Hammurabi you have the extra civil actions, so you can definitely go for the Cultural Heritage. Weida will open the first development, and it's going to be the one of planning. Let me take a quick look. Planning, civil life, trade routes, markets, and Weida has decided to take the civil life and has built an HA lab with that immediately. And then he grabs Code of Laws for 3. I mean, yeah, the first row, he probably still takes a wonder, I would assume. But the second row is really, really bad. Taj Mahal, you don't want that, and Rich Land, you also don't want it. So if he doesn't spend his 3 civil actions going for the code, I mean, what does he really go for then? And then let's see, he doesn't. He doesn't go for one of the wonders here. That's very interesting. He could have still done that. I guess there would have been corruption issues. So yeah, this Code of Laws is expensive. But with PV4 having the Stonehenge, he would be super happy to get the early Code of Laws. He could build 3 stages, and then probably still be able to go for code. I'm not sure if these civil actions would work, but yeah, pretty sure he could have pulled off the Code of Laws in that turn, but not like this. He will go for Zizka. The interesting part about this decision would be to know if he has a tactic already. He has only drawn the 1 card because of Hammurabi, and going for Zizka without having a tactic can be a little bit of a problem. On the other hand, he has a lot of time to draw more cards with Hammurabi. And maybe it's more of a denial. If Weida would get Code of Laws plus Zizka, that is pretty strong. 5 civil and 3 military actions this early. So PV4 goes for Zizka, will start building on the Stonehenge. He also has taken the civil life and built the lab with that. So he's up to a lot of science, so he definitely would have been super happy to get the code. Maybe now he's looking for an early monarchy or something. But first we get the development of warfare, and Weida can't take that because of happy faces. PV4 also can't take it, not because of happy faces, but because of having no population. If he had the population, he could finish the Stonehenge and take the free warrior, but not like this. And Weida will be able to go for the code this turn. Decides to also go for knights, the breakthrough, and the rich land. So a couple of yellow cards. Still no wonder from him. So he will need to find a way to spend his extra rocks, because usually in the beginning you want to spend some rocks on your wonders because you don't have that much population. As you see right now, next turn he still doesn't have enough to increase pop, can't build anything, doesn't have enough science to research anything. So next turn, yeah, he's probably going to be looking for a wonder or cheap technology where he can upgrade something, maybe get a development, give him extra food, could build a religion. So he still definitely has options, but he probably is looking forward to getting a wonder. Brandon Circus, urban growth, cultural heritage for PV4. He's also finished the Stonehenge. He doesn't want the monarchy on 3 here. So we will have to see if Weida decides to take it for 2 next turn. PV4 now with 11 science. He's not researched anything yet, or even 13 science. I think he would still go for the monarchy if he gets that. Settlement, okay, that at least gives Weida extra population to do something with his rocks. He will go for Joan and then probably religions. Go for alchemy as well. Oh, he can. Oh, all right, yeah. He manages to get the extra science. He got 1 science for pushing with Confucius, and then when replacing Confucius, he also gets 1 science. So now he had 4 science to go for the alchemy and can go for that. So he has found his way to spend his rocks by going for 2 alchemies. Early science is pretty strong here. And yeah, maybe, I mean, Joan of Arc definitely isn't bad here. The extra MA will draw more cards, start to produce culture, see what's on top, and all of that good stuff. So yeah, very great turn, I would say. Well done. There were alternatives, but I think this is definitely the best play that he could have done. Yeah, great usage of Confucius, getting the extra science when you replace him. Let's see, PV4 will go for Zhishka now. Will go for the monarchy, so you can finally spend some of that science. Go for the irrigation. Upgrade that. Will he build one? Yeah, no, he upgrades one. Okay, upgrades one. Doesn't have a tactic, so I would assume he doesn't have a tactic in hand and wanted to replace Hammurabi with Zhishka, so he's drawing 3 cards to finally get a tactic to get something out of this Zhishka. Weida goes for iron, so he's found another way to spend rocks. I like Weida's position quite a lot here with the early alchemy, now being able to upgrade iron. He still has the option for irrigation. I mean, PV4 is not looking bad either. He has the monarchy, he has the irrigation going. He doesn't have the extra science from the alchemies, but he's had extra science from the Stonehenge. He also has good civil actions, thanks to the monarchy. They're both doing fine. I would just say Weida maybe a little bit better with the alchemies and the iron. Yeah, probably. Then PV4 will also push, open the last development of agriculture, this one is. And then you will reveal he has drawn a tactic now. That is very good news for him. Gets the fighting band. Can go for printing presses as well. And both printing presses were pretty late. PV4 will be able to get the only one. And then he can build even another one. Okay, so he's now fixing his science as well. So he has food, he has science, he has culture. Weida has rocks though, so I mean, yeah, I think both, as I said before, I think both have a fine position. Weida still has population, so he doesn't actually need the food. So I think that's what's great about his position. He still can go for wonder. There's still 3 of them left. St. Pete's, Forbidden City, can fix his happy faces. But PV4, a lot of science, and probably is looking forward to upgrading his production, his rock production that is. But there's still the iron, so he still has that option. And he now has the strength lead. Weida will push nonetheless and will open 1 science for both of them. We'll go for knights. Yeah, build 1 of those. Can even build another one, but does reveal the medieval army. Increases pop. Will finally go for wonder. Pretty late, but he's found a way around going for early wonders by going for the alchemy and the iron. And can finish the Forbidden City next turn. As I said, fixes his happy faces. And yeah, is a great way to spend more rocks, giving him even more civil actions. So great move that one is. And then I would assume irrigation as well. Yeah, there it is. So he's got the strength lead now. Let's see if PV4 will decide to push or not. H1 is not over yet. PV4 doesn't push, does go for iron. Can upgrade 1 this turn. And then what does he grab? The engineering genius. Sure, he can still go for Universitas or St. Pete's next turn. So the engineering genius can be used for H1 wonders, can also be saved for H2 wonders. Yeah, but I could definitely see PV4 go for the St. Pete's. I mean, yeah, he does have the bread. And there is Shakespeare. With Shakespeare, you don't really need the St. Pete's as much. But with his food, he has a lot of food. Next turn, he would have, not an uprising, but an unhappy worker. So happy faces definitely could help him in this position. So engineering genius is a great pickup for him. And with that, H2 will start. Weida will have, I believe, 2 unhappy workers now. He doesn't push, goes for masonry, can research that and finish the Forbidden City. 1 civil action left, grabs the theocracy. I mean, yeah, sure, it has enough science to even go for the theocracy next turn. Has synergy with Joan of Arc. has synergy with his civil actions that he already has the code, has the Forbidden City, so he has enough, or maybe not enough, but he has quite a few civil actions, so Theocracy is definitely playable for him. It is rather late and he can't really go for the revolution with that. So, I mean, probably doesn't have to go for it. He can still decide that next turn, but just grabbing it here this turn, the only alternative was, I guess, increasing population would have been one alternative. He must be pretty sure that there's no rats, so maybe he's seen them already himself, because this 4 food here, if there would be rats, that would be dangerous. Or he really wants the Theocracy. But alright, so PV4, does he go for one of the other wonders? He will go for Darwin, then he's probably not going to go St. Pete's. We'll build a warrior. Does go for Darwin this turn. Urban growth and cavalryman. Alright, alright. So there is also an early Shakespeare. He decides not to go for him. Weida is not ready for Shakespeare at all. Maybe that's the main reason. P4 also doesn't have the operas or the dramas at this point, and is a very good setup for Darwin. Darwin is really, really strong, giving him 4 culture production. He has the bread and circus to get the happy faces, and then there is Pierre at the end. And this is really early amount of high culture production. 7 culture production this early versus 1 will give him quite the lead. As I said, Weida doesn't really have a good setup for Shakespeare. Weida has the potential to get more culture production than his opponent by going for Bach, because Bach of course has a higher potential than Darwin, but Darwin is here now and he's going to get quite a lead. So I think I like this move very much. Also urban growth, yeah sure, next turn can go for bread. He still has extra population, so he could even go for another printing press. And cultural influence, I mean, especially if this one was played by PV4, which is not a given. Weida definitely could have played that himself as well. But here, actually, cultural influence, often it doesn't really make a big difference. But this time here, the 6 culture difference is not something to negate completely. And Weida doesn't want to go for culture. He doesn't want to go Bach. I would have assumed, at least, that with this early Bach, you could go for that and maybe feel comfortable, but maybe the problem is that it doesn't have the early operas. Even if the first opera shows up, PV4 can easily deny that. And if the second one is late, Weida is going to be running behind PV4 for quite some time until he gets Bach online. So he decides he just wants Napoleon. Can go for the Theocracy still. Will elect Napoleon, so 10 strength from him, builds a knight, builds a warrior as well, 15 strength. Alright, increases pop, denies a patriotism and probably, no, not the breakthrough, the reserves, so take away the rocks. There is a wave for PV4, but this is definitely very threatening. If Weida has a war, like if he's drawn an early war, this is very, very dangerous for PV4 now. He does have okay rocks. He could copy this tactic potentially with his cavalryman. There maybe is even a play with the railroad and his engineering genius, but this is definitely threatening. It's not, I don't want to call it an all-in play by Weida, but this is definitely investing a lot into the military versus your opponent who has a lot of culture production. It's probably too early to call this an all-in or anything like that. But he has to make this pressure work. If P4 can easily defend this pressure, he will be looking very good. And we shall see how he does respond. Goes for bread and circus. I mean, he can't go for the wave here. Alright, so he wants to be able to defend. Copies, oh no, shows a new tactic. I mean, that is good. That is good for him. Going up to 9 strength. So with 1 defend card from H2, he would be able to defend. Same if he has 2 H1 defend cards. So I would assume now that he has the possibility to defend. And that, yeah, I mean, we don't know if Weida wants to go for an aggression or if he even has a war. The biggest problem like this is P4 can't really defend against a war that well. let's see what this last civil action is. Alright, not much, just use that cultural heritage. Yeah, the problem is he doesn't have enough rocks for another cavalryman. So yes, he's definitely building up the potential to defend against an aggression the next turn. But for the following turn, or even if Weida doesn't go for an aggression but goes for war, this isn't the ideal defense. But it's a tricky situation for PV4. He could have maybe gone for the wave, and that would have given him the potential to defend better versus a war. But then he maybe wouldn't have been able to defend versus an aggression. So yeah, pretty hard spot. He does manage to go up to 9 at least. So there's maybe potential to defend, and we will see he doesn't have the possibility to defend. Weida does go for an aggression, and he will be able to steal 3 rocks from PV4. At least it's only an H1 aggression. But still, plunder is in this position. Plunder, in my opinion, is one of the harshest aggressions there is, because you steal the potential from your opponent to defend. You take away his rocks. If there was even a raid, even from H2, sure, you could lose your buildings, but that would actually free up some population. You still would have your rocks, and you would be able to defend afterwards. But with this, PV4 is looking at 1 rock next turn, so there could easily be another aggression or a war. So plunders are really great to steamroll your opponent. Weida then will deny all the rocks, goes for a very interesting Eiffel Tower. But yeah, he has a lot of rocks now, especially with the ones that he's stolen from his opponent. Grabs the Rifleman for 3. I mean, sure, PV4 has 2 warriors, Weida has warriors, so he wants to upgrade them, maybe he has a tactic. So I like that. Next turn he can go for them. With the patriotism and reserves, he has a lot of extra rocks in hand. Could still go for aggressions, could still go for war and upgrade the Rifleman. And then he probably has enough rocks as well to follow up with the Eiffel Tower, which will then give him some culture. Because that is still, of course, one thing. Still might be a little bit too early, but the way this is going, we probably need to see a war from Weida in H3. I mean, there could still be different ways to play this. He could still go for a lot of culture. And this is basically, in my opinion, a great move to go for the Eiffel Tower. Keep the options to produce culture without having to spend units. So you can put your population into military, keep up the pressure, put your rocks into Eiffel Tower to not fall behind as much, so that you don't necessarily need the big war in H3, which you might not draw. There's always the possibility for that. So PV4 can go for navigation. That actually is huge for him. That means he can defend most likely versus an aggression now. Only needs 1 defend card from H1 now. We'll grab a rich land for the upgrade. Frugality for more population. Yeah, he can't do much this turn with his 1 rock. So he does grab some good tech. The navigation will grab some extra rocks in the rich land and frugality. Yeah, it would be great for him if he had the wave, but Weida has done a great job denying the rocks. Has denied the wave, the reserves, and the patriotism. If PV4 had gotten some of those, he could have used them to build up more military, but like this, he's really struggling to get extra rocks. So the rich land at least is great. That can give him a free upgrade. But he probably would have liked to get more rocks from the yellow cards here in H2. Weida doesn't go for an aggression, doesn't have a war, but he opens the uncertain borders. That is also pretty punishing. Weida will get the 1 extra yellow cube. PV4 will lose 1. I mean, not the biggest deal. He can't increase population next turn anyway. But it's still not nice. That population would have been free when it comes out. Now, if he increases pop, he will have to build another Brilliant Circus probably. So of course uncertain borders hurts quite a lot. Weida will upgrade 1 more iron, grabs the strategy, can go for it as well. So more pressure, builds another knight even, starts building on the Eiffel Tower. So next turn he can finish the Eiffel Tower. Still hasn't gotten any extra food production, so we will need to see that at some point, I guess. Depending a little bit on his tactics, how much population he wants. And that's, again, why the Eiffel Tower is great here. That will give him a lot of culture. and a way to spend his rocks without needing population. PV4 will open the border conflict, so another punishing card. He will have to destroy something. Let's see what it will be. What did he destroy? An HA mine. Will then just rebuild the mine as an iron. Upgrades one more irrigation as well. Gets the breakthrough, probably the urban growth. No, and the urban growth. Yes, cannon and urban growth. So PV4 at least has good military potential with the cannon and with the cavalrymen. We don't know which tactics he has, but he definitely could have mobile artillery, fortifications, and then he's also preparing for the almighty mechanized army. So that at least is good. Now he also has quite a lot of yellow cards in hand. He probably won't be able to use his engineering genius. He probably is going to lose that. So that is a little bit sad. The wonders, he didn't have the time to go for them. Railroad, I mean, that could have been interesting if he'd gone for that. But in that turn where Weida put on the pressure and he had to try to defend, he couldn't have or didn't grab the railroad at that point. So now the engineering genius will probably or most likely be lost. And then Weida's last turn in H2, another aggression. Yeah, this game is going downhill for PV4, who hasn't drawn defend cards as many as he maybe would have needed or wanted. So Weida will take 4 food and 1 rock from his opponent. That means he can increase population again, finishes the Eiffel Tower, grabs Revolutionary Idea. Still goes for the irrigation, pretty late, but sure, better than being stuck with no food. I mean, it's still gonna be stuck with no real food, I guess, but it's still healthy to have a way to even get out of starvation at some point. So he does go for the irrigation. He upgrades 1. That will take a long time for him to get extra pop, but we will see. And then 5 culture production from him. I mean, PV4 still has the culture lead now by quite a bit, 54. There is no Gandhi, so he can't just hide behind Gandhi. He will have to find a way to fix his military eventually. But now we start into H3. PV4 will lose the engineering genius from H1. Can open a territory. Okay, that has potential to be great for PV4, who has committed to the navigation, so that not only did that give him the 1 turn where he was guaranteed to defend, but also maybe, hopefully, has given him a cheap inhabited territory now. Not as cheap as he would have liked, has to send the cavalryman instead of just a warrior. And a defend card, so if there's more aggressions, that would be problematic. He will go for justice system. Can rebuild the cavalryman to go up to 11 at least. Vision upgrade, and then maybe 1 reserves. Yeah, 1 reserves. So he has potential to go for 1 cannon next turn. I mean, yeah, for leaders, he's probably hoping for Pierre or just staying with Darwin for a bit. I mean, Darwin is giving him 4 culture. That is more than Pierre would give at the moment, or any leader would give him at the moment. And then also the extra reach, the extra civil action from Darwin is great. So I think he doesn't really want to change leaders. Weida, on the other hand, I mean, yeah, Napoleon is fine. He's giving him 4 strength, but he doesn't really need the military action. And then I would assume that if he has the opportunity to go for a new leader, which isn't that easy for him, but there's definitely potential. There's still the opera. He could just grab an opera, and then maybe when Chaplin is out, go for him. That can give him quite the culture boost, because without a leader, he has a lot more, or maybe not a lot more, but he has more culture production than his opponent without a culture leader. And then if he goes for Chaplin or any culture leader, he will start to outproduce PV4. But maybe Weida also wants to keep going for aggressions, keep going for wars, where he has another potential here. Yes, with the first war of the game, the war over technology. We'll go for cannon, so he will get the extra boost from Napoleon. Build 1, but only the 1, so 25. Oh no, 1 more. Does he just build another one? And he has the mobile artillery. Yes, he has the mobile artillery. goes up to 33 strength. So yeah, PV4. Can he defend this? Can he keep his navigation and justice system, or are they gonna be gone after this war of attack? So very threatening from Weida here. 6 extra strength from Napoleon at the moment. And then PV4. Can he open something that helps him? I mean, freedom is great. Freedom of movement is great. He can put something into new military to defend this war. Let's see here, what has he done? He has put a iron into cavalryman for 0. Alright, can increase population twice even. Build a grand circus and then a cannon. Yeah, build a cannon. So next turn he can copy the mobile artillery. He will go up to 18 strength. So Weida can steal his blue techs. Weida himself has the code, so it's going to be interesting. I would assume Weida steals the navigation definitely, and then maybe all the science. And that already is 12, so then he can't also steal the justice. But yeah, I guess PV4 will keep the justice and Weida rather take the extra science. But we will see. I mean, he could also have another aggression follow-up. So yes, he steals 6 science and the navigation, but doesn't have a follow-up war or aggression. Does open the strategic, and he is able to win it thanks to that navigation. That hurts. That hurts quite a lot. Yeah, PV4 just lost the navigation. Now Weida is able to win the strategic with that. Strategic is great, especially for just Aurora, drawing 5 H3 cards. You will then use the freedom to put a alchemy into another cannon, so 44 strength. Denies the military buildup. Destroys his last alchemy. Goes for another cannon. Okay, more and more military. Even destroys the food. This looks like he has drawn a war, definitely. So this strategic territory has probably now given him the war of a culture, or opening the possibility for him to just put everything into military. Don't worry about your science or culture or anything. You now have the golden ticket to stealing your opponent's culture, so you don't need your own. I mean, he's still producing 5, not too shabby along this military push. PV4 will open the national pride. That's 5 more for him. I mean, the culture difference is definitely there. The problem is there's also still a lot of cards in the deck, so the game will go on for a couple of turns. Weida could go for 2 wars, and that would definitely be enough. And then even maybe 1 with this strength difference, even 1 war could be enough, but we will see if PV4 can defend this somehow. I mean, he has, okay, Marlene. Marlene is great. Reserves. And that's it, yeah. Can then probably also copy the tactic, or he has drawn his own tactic. That could also be a possibility, that he has drawn the mechanized army. That would be even better for him. And Marlene, yeah, gives him the potential to defend a little bit better. Keep Darwin as long as you can. All the rest of the cards here don't really matter. I mean, yeah, you could deny the endowment, but the science cards, probably not. I mean, yeah, okay, 4 science production. You could go for satellites in 2 turns or something. But the big cards are the rocks from the reserves, and then the strength potential from Marlene. Will then, okay, he will spend his military actions to copy the tactics, so he's not drawn a mechanized army yet. Alrighty. So Weida, will we see the first war over culture? Yes, we will. And then he has the potential to go for 1 more army even. Destroys a mine, destroys another mine. Cannon plus knight. 64 strength. Democracy, can actually go for democracy next turn with the revolutionary idea. Yeah, and 64 to 18. How can PV4 defend? He can once again open, I mean, sure, iconoclasm. That is well timed. That will destroy Napoleon. PV4 can then go for Marlene. He has enough rocks to go for 1 more army, so he will destroy 2 buildings. Go for cannon. Grabs reserves, yeah, and then 2 cannons probably. 2 cannons, 34. Well, if this is the only war, then there's still potential for PV4, I would say. Yes, he will lose 30 culture. That will be a big swing. That will put Weida ahead in culture. And PV4 is now down to 3 production. If there's no other war, there's still hope for him. But as we see here, Weida will overtake him. And there's another one, and I would say this would be GG. I don't see how PV4 comes back from that. Weida doesn't even go for democracy, just goes for fundamentalism. And then the Pierre would not be happy with this civilization, I can tell you guys that much, and I'm kind of an expert on Pierre. But yeah, of course, it's the correct move for Weida. He can just get the 8 culture production, or the 8 culture from the Olympic Games once, and all the other leaders. I mean, if you only have military and 1 mine and 1 farm, leaders in H3 don't really like you as much. So that's where Pierre comes in, just goes for 1 Olympic Games, and the 8 culture will be all that he gives. Arms industry actually means a lot of rocks for PV4. 6 rocks for him. Can grab revolutionary idea. He can go for another tactic here. Destroys another farm. Increases pop. Another cavalry. Another cannon. 54 culture. Yeah, but this doesn't really stop the bleeding at all. I mean, it slows it down a little bit. But again, 25 culture stolen. 98 to 42. We're not going to see another one. We see the Olympic Games. And then inhabited territory. Weida will be able to win this one for just a night. Goes for 1 religion, 1 more religion, just produce some culture, deny the civil service, go for military theory. And how many impacts are there? There are 3 impacts, 2 of them from PV4. But yeah, if we are honest, I don't see the potential for PV4 to come back. And with H4 starting now, we will see the last 2 turns from PV4 and 1 more from Weida. Input of population, 6 to 10. I mean, I could call this a start, but not really. PV4 also has food problems. He will destroy both warriors, build a religion, and then probably a farm. Yeah, grabs reserves. And then that's basically it. Weida has the potential to go for 1 more aggression if he wants to end this game. End this game how you did it the whole match. Just aggressions and wars. Steals another 7 culture after going for the Olympic Games last turn. This turn he gets another aggression. Destroys a knight. Builds a farm. Denies or just grabs a wonder. Multimedia, take all the cards that PV4 could use. And that will be it. And with PV4's last turn, he can play another impact. So we're gonna see a couple of impacts. Input of vast territory, 1 plus only. Weida didn't want this, so PV4 wins this for just the cannon. And I can increase pop. Go for air forces. Can he overtake him in strength? I don't think he can. Can build an air force. Builds a farm. There could be, I don't know, competition or something like that. We will see harmony, 8 to 20. That one is very good for PV4. Government, 23 to 15. Variety, 14 to 14. And the last one is competition, 12 to 15. So, as we saw it coming, Weida will be able to win this game with 191 to 123. So well played, Weida. I mean, yeah, very military heavy game, not something you see every match. With the cards, we probably would have had the option to go for Culture Fest with Bach, Shakespeare, Hollywood, Marlene and Fleming. In each age, everybody was guaranteed to get a good culture leader. PV4 set up for it, and I think Darwin was also a great move, definitely better than Shakespeare. He wouldn't have had the time to go for Shakespeare. But Weida did have those aggressions, did see the weakness of his opponent and capitalized on it with Napoleon. From PV4, I mean, maybe he replaced Zizka too early, but I don't really think that was the case. It's just really hard to play against an opponent who gets an early Napoleon. when you are not really ready to defend that. He only had warriors at that point. Could go for the 1 cavalryman. But yeah, from that point on, it just steamrolled. As I said, the swing of the 3 rocks in the middle of H2 is a very big swing. And maybe even more impactful than destroying buildings, because it destroys one of your turns almost completely, where you can't build up more military that enabled more aggressions and the wars. So yeah, just a typical game that was, in my opinion, won in H2 by Weida by going for the strength push, where PV4 wasn't able to defend it. I mean, he tried to make it competitive. If there was 1 less war from Weida, I don't think it would have been enough, but it would have made it close. PV4 did have good culture production in H2, but wasn't able to secure it. Yeah, a great game. Let's take a look at the current standings, because this was not the only game that has been finished between these 2 guys, as we will see in the group. I mean, it's not really groups, they are still called groups, but it's only 2 people in each group. And as you see, they already, after 1 day, have finished 2 matches, so they played super fast. And Weida was also able to win the second one. So the predictions have it right at this point. Weida in a demanding lead. Now PV4 would need to win the last 3 games to advance. And we see here, yeah, the one that we just saw, and the second one, 278 to 176, also not too close. I mean, you can't tell the full story of a game just from the endpoints. But yeah, very great start by Weida. So he is definitely looking great in this best of 16 round. He has a very high chance to advance now to the next stage. But don't count out PV4 quite yet. We might see him come back, who knows. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this first of many videos of the playoffs. I will see how many I'm able to cover. Definitely, as I said, not the 40. I will produce like 1 or 2, or maybe even 3 videos per week, and we're gonna see how long this group stage will go on, this round of 16. It is said here that stage 5 April 1st, but after that we will have to wait for everybody. Some of these are going super fast, like this group. Others, like group 2, we can take a look. I don't know, it's Silent vs Ender. They are in the first game in H1. Only 6% of this match has advanced. So of course after 1 day it's normal, but not every game will go this fast. So we will see how much time we have to cover these matches. With that said, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys are excited for the rest of the World Championship, to see these 16 great players battle it out. And at the end, there can only be 1. So I'm super excited to find out who that will be. That being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you next time. If you haven't, subscribe to not miss any of the other games, and see you guys next time.